The dim, smoke-filled room was silent, save for the sound of glasses clinking and low murmurs that buzzed through the alien bar. As Nox surveyed his team of rough and ruthless mercenaries, sizable Vor'jas with their dual horns, wary Shalshian sharpshooters with eyes that could pierce the dark. He leaned forward, laying his palms flat on the table. He fixed his dark gaze on the stranger they had just hired. The human, Martin Kane, sat with his hands clasped in front of him, looking perfectly relaxed. He was tall, powerfully built, his dark hair and steel blue eyes set against a face that seemed to have been carved from granite. Yet, he radiated a calm confidence that was unsettling in the midst of the usual tension that accompanied new hires. "So," Nox began, his deep voice cutting through the air, "you're saying you'll join us without asking for payment in advance?" Martin nodded. "I take jobs on trust. Payment comes when the job's done." Nox's black eyes narrowed. In all his years, he had never encountered a mercenary so unconcerned with compensation. Money was the lifeblood of his crew, the one thing that held together a group of killers and outcasts. But this human was different, and that difference intrigued him as much as it unsettled him. "Fine, Martin Kane," Nox said slowly, "but I'll warn you now. This mission isn't for the faint of heart. If you survive, you'll be richer than you ever dreamed. If you fail, well, it won't matter anymore." Martin simply leaned back in his chair, smiling faintly. "I never fail." Nox wasn't sure if it was arrogance or confidence, but he sensed that Kane's words held a deeper conviction and belief that would prove itself true sooner rather than later. The mission was simple in concept, complex in execution. The mercenary team had been hired by the supreme power of the treacherous to destabilize a rebel faction threatening their control. This faction had amassed considerable forces on the barren world of Vor'ja, a hostile place that would prove fatal to most species in less than a day. For Nox's squad, it was just another job, dirty, bloody, and rewarding. 3 days later, they touched down on Vor'ja, skimming over jagged rock formations under a sun that blazed relentlessly. Heat rippled through the air as they disembarked, a small team of 15, including Martin. Each mercenary carried their own specialized equipment, uniquely suited to their individual strengths. Kane carried only a pistol and a combat knife, simple weapons that seemed almost primitive. One of the Shalshian sharpshooters, Varric, sneered, pointing at the human's minimal gear. "You expect to survive with only those. You're either insane or looking to die fast." Martin looked at him, unperturbed. "When the time comes, I'll use what I need." The team exchanged glances, amusement flickering in their alien eyes. They'd seen human soldiers before, soft, dependent on advanced weaponry, and prone to fear in the face of the unknown. But Martin Kane showed none of those weaknesses. He marched ahead, silent and focused, as if the searing heat and harsh winds were nothing more than a passing breeze. The first encounter with the enemy came sooner than expected. The rebels had spotted them and set up an ambush near a narrow pass. Plasma bolts erupted from the rocks, streaking across the dusty landscape as the mercenaries scattered for cover. A Nox ducked behind a jagged boulder, barking orders to his team. Martin moved with the efficiency of a predator, staying low and advancing with a calm precision. His eyes flicked to each source of fire, analyzing the positions of the rebels. Then he broke cover, moving toward the enemy with terrifying speed. A Vor'ja soldier beside him, Grell, roared a warning. "You'll get yourself killed, human." But Martin didn't answer. He darted between rocks, evading plasma blasts with an almost preternatural awareness, closing in on the enemy line. Then with an unexpected twist, he launched himself over a boulder, crashing down amidst a group of rebel soldiers. The sound of his combat knife tearing through armor was swift, brutal. He moved with a lethal grace, dismantling his foes in seconds. The rest of the team watched in stunned silence. When the skirmish ended, Martin stood wiping blood from his knife, his expression as calm as ever. Nox gave him an appraising look. "Impressive. You fight like you've got nothing to lose." Martin's eyes glinted with something unreadable. "Just doing the job." As the days passed, the team advanced deeper into rebel territory, but it was Kane who continuously drew their attention. In every confrontation, he fought without hesitation, often putting himself between his comrades and danger. His loyalty wasn't bought, it was given freely, without expectation of reward. When one of the younger Shalshian soldiers, Tseran, took a plasma shot to the leg, Martin carried him for miles across jagged terrain without a second thought. One night, as they set up camp in a ravine, Grell, the Vor'ja soldier who had once doubted him, sat beside Martin, watching the human with a new respect. "I've known many fighters," Grell rumbled, "but none like you. Why are you so loyal to us, Martin? We're nothing but a band of killers." Martin poked a small fire, watching the embers dance. "Loyalty isn't about who you serve," he said quietly. "It's about what you stand for. If you can't trust the people around you, you'll never survive. And in a galaxy full of betrayal, loyalty means more than money." Grell stared at him, brow furrowed. The idea was foreign to him, and yet he felt its weight settle deep in his chest. The team's final confrontation came 2 weeks later. They had tracked down the rebel commander, an imposing figure by the name of Reckler, to a fortress built into the cliffs of Vor'ja's largest mountain range. The approach was steep, deadly, and heavily guarded. But Martin had a plan. "Trust me," he told Knox, his steel-blue gaze unwavering. "Give me 5 of your best, and we'll create a diversion. The rest of you come in from the east. We'll have them split between 2 fronts, and weakened enough for a clean sweep." Knox hesitated. If the diversion failed, Kane's team would be wiped out. Yet he saw something in the human's eyes, something that whispered of certainty beyond reason. He nodded. The assault was brutal. Martin and his small group struck first, drawing the rebels' attention with an aggressive barrage of gunfire and explosions. The rebels responded, sending wave after wave of troops to overwhelm the human-led squad. But Kane held his ground, moving through the chaos like a storm, his knife flashing, his pistol precise. Even as his alien teammates fell around him, he pushed forward, determined, relentless. By the time Knox's main force reached the fortress, the rebel defenses had thinned to a breaking point. With the final surge, they breached the inner sanctum and captured Reckler, ending rebellion with a single decisive blow. As the dust settled, Knox surveyed the scene. His team was battered, bruised, and bleeding, but victorious. And there, amidst the debris and bodies, was Martin, covered in blood and ash, his chest heaving with exhaustion. The mercenaries gathered around him, their expressions a mix of awe and gratitude. This human, this strange creature who had asked for no payment, had led them to victory. Grell stepped forward, bowing his head in respect. "You saved us, Martin. You saved us all?" Martin looked at each of them in turn. "I told you loyalty is what you stand for. You don't leave your people behind." When the team returned to their client, the Tseran representative, a cold, calculating creature known as Councilor, met them with a sour expression. "Well done," he sneered, handing over the team's payment. "Now you're all free to go, except for the human." Ixian's eyes narrowed on Martin. "The Confederation does not tolerate free agents. His loyalty is a liability." Knox felt a surge of anger. "He's part of our team. He's one of us." Ixian's voice was like ice. "You're all hired killers. But him, he's dangerous because he fights for something we cannot buy. And that is a threat to the Confederation?" Martin stood calmly, his hands relaxed at his sides. "If you can't buy loyalty, councilor, maybe it's something you don't deserve." Ixian's face twisted in fury. "Seize him." But Knox and his team moved as one, forming a protective line between Martin and the guards. Grell bared his fangs, growling, "If you want him, you'll have to go through us." The mercenaries united defiance, sent a chill through the councilor. He took a step back, his cold, calculating mind weighing the odds. In that moment, he understood. This human had done the impossible. He had made a band of killers and outcasts into something stronger, something bound not by greed, but by loyalty. With a reluctant nod, Ixian backed down, and the guards lowered their weapons. "Fine," he spat, "but don't expect this loyalty of yours to keep you safe forever." As Ixian left, Knox turned to Martin, the ghost of a smile on his face. "I don't know what you are, Kane, but you've changed us. For better or worse." Martin simply shrugged. "Just doing my job." They walked out of the council chamber together, a team forged by something greater than money, something even a galaxy full of treacherous leaders and cutthroat mercenaries could not break. And as they moved forward, Knox couldn't help but wonder if this was just the beginning, a spark that would one day ignite a rebellion far greater than the one they just crushed. Because in a galaxy where loyalty was rare, men like Martin Kane were the most dangerous weapon of all.